We know that life originated on the earth millions of years ago, and since then countless varieties of living beings have evolved. Scientists around the world are still searching for an answer to the basic question, how did life originate on the earth? So far, different scientific theories and hypotheses have been put forth by different people to explain the origin of life on the earth. In 1924, a Russian biologist, Alexander Ivanovich Oparin, proposed a theory about the origin of life on the earth. Oparin stated that the first living being on earth was produced from simple inorganic and organic compounds because of various chemical reactions. Oparin divided the theory of chemical evolution of life into 8 main steps: atomic phase, formation of simple inorganic compounds, formation of organic compounds, formation of colloids, evolution of autocatalytic system, genes and viruses, evolution of prokaryotes, evolution of simple autotrophs, and the formation of modern atmosphere. Let us see these steps one by one to understand how life originated by the means of chemical evolution. Click each tab to learn more. The first step of Oparin's theory represents the atomic phase. The Earth was formed from a hot gaseous cloud composed of numerous free atoms like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, and iron. Gradually, through millions of years, the Earth rotated, the temperature cooled down, and the atoms were stratified according to their density and gravitational force. Heavy elements like iron, nickel, and copper got collected at the center and formed the core of the Earth. The medium-weight elements such as silicon, phosphorus, and aluminium rose above the center of the core and formed the future lithosphere. The lighter elements like helium, hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon spread out over the surface and formed the primitive atmosphere. The second step of the Oparin's theory is the formation of simple inorganic compounds. When the temperature of the Earth decreased, the free atoms combined and formed molecules. These molecules condensed into solid matter and formed a hard lithosphere. The free hydrogen atoms reacted with the oxygen and nitrogen atoms and formed water and ammonia respectively. These were the first inorganic compounds formed on the Earth. According to the third step of the Oparin's theory, various simple and complex organic compounds were formed by different chemical reactions. The active volcanoes on the Earth exploded, and the hot metallic lava poured out of them. The gases that erupted with the lava reacted with the carbon and nitrogen atoms to form the carbides and nitrides. When these carbides and nitrides reacted with water vapor, organic compounds like methane, ammonia, and hydrogen cyanide were formed. For millions of years, the Earth was submerged under water due to the prolonged rainfall. The water of the primitive oceans contained gases, nitrides, carbides, and elements. The simple organic compounds like methane reacted with the oxygen present inside the water and formed unsaturated hydrocarbons like ethylene and acetylene. These chemical changes also produced aldehydes, ketones, alcohols, and organic acids. Then, the thunderstorms and strong ultraviolet radiations boosted the chemical reactions and complex organic compounds like amino acids were formed. The fourth step of the Oparin's theory says that when the charged macromolecules of proteins or amino acids came in contact, they formed colloidal spheres, which are also called proteinoid microspheres. When the opposite charged microspheres packed densely, they formed a precursor of the first organisms, which is also called coacervates or prebionts. Then, the further breakdown of these coacervates evolved the anaerobic heterotrophs. The fifth step of the operance theory points out that the nucleic acids like DNA and RNA gradually developed under the oceanic soup. Later, the association of these nucleic acids with certain proteins formed the nucleoproteins. Later, through a self-duplication system or the autocatalytic system, these nucleoproteins formed a primordial organism, which might have been a simple virus. The sixth step of the operance theory states that the coacervates with the nucleoproteins formed the naked gene in the primitive ocean. Later, a protein lipid membrane was formed around the gene, which raised a virus like the prokaryotic organism. The seventh step of the operance theory described what happened when the early anaerobic prokaryotic organism increased in number and the deficiency of the nutritive substances occurred. Some of these organisms synthesized the enzymes to produce energy. They were called chemoautotrophs. Later, some cells developed photosynthetic pigments in them, synthesized their food by using water and carbon dioxide around, and released oxygen into the atmosphere. The eighth step of operance theory indicates the changes in the composition of the primitive atmosphere. Due to the photosynthetic activities, the level of oxygen increased in the atmosphere. This resulted in the formation of the ozone layer. The oxygen reacted with compounds like methane and ammonia to form carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and water. This is the reason that in today's atmosphere, methane and ammonia are not present, but oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water are present. Let's summarize the steps of the operance theory.